Yeah, I think it was that he called Dusty Rhodes son of a bitch. Or sorry, Dustin Rhodes
Dustin Rhodes
son of a bitch.
yeah. And then Dustin Rhodes like, "What you gonna do about it?" And he went, "Push."
That's right.
Rick Rude versus Dustin Rhodes, folks.
Hey, he said that rather than saying something in Francais, Deutsch, Italiano, Espanol,
or what is that, like
Russian.
Pikmin language? Is that
That's right.
Did we ever finish putting up all those Nintendo videos that we never, like, we had one marathon play session and never played it again? But
yeah, I mean, those all
Pikmin
went up, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, folks, I'm Mysterious JG.
I'm Bobo the Vulture.
And we've had to go over to Casa de Bobo / Bean to get the final episode, or episodes, we don't know how many it's going to take, of the Let's Play Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain, in which we're going to just check out and see what there is on the Collector's Edition disc. I know from various sources it's got some stuff that relates to the end game that didn't get finished, and a lot of people thought it would come out as DLC. It's just not coming out at all because they fired Kojima and want nothing more to do with him. But there's something going on with...
What's going on with this?
All right. Should be able to select English and...
Yeah, I should.
And see what there is to see on the bonus disc.
Copyright proprietor has licensed this film comprising this Blu-ray for home use only. So other things might not be.
Doing the Rodney Dangerfield loosening the collar thing. We'll pull this thing offline if it comes to it, obviously. Phantom Pain. Tactical espionage action.
And Operation.
Whatever.
Operation Weserübung.
I'm just going to claim I can't read. So... interviews and trailers feels like, yeah, I don't know that we want to go through a bunch of interviews. That feels like it really is kind of fucking around with, we shouldn't, But Phantom episode, Kingdom of the Flies, I think going through that and just seeing what there is to see for our fans on the YouTube seems fair enough.
What do you want for subtitle options?
What are the options, I suppose?
On or off?
I guess on, but I'm thinking Phantom episode, okay. Yeah, on. Stay with on.
No, I don't want to quit playback, so yes. No, on. There we go. Let's play the Phantom episode, everyone.
Major spoilers.
Play the game through episode 46.
Lest you find out that Eli is Liquid Snake.
Incomplete. Work in progress.
Alright. Oh, work in process? That's annoying, because you have to know the accounting rules for WIP.
Pardon me.
Eli seizes control of Sahelanthropus and leaves Diamond Dallas Page and his fellow child soldiers.
That's right. Bang.
Boss, about Eli and
You mean
his
his
boys.
testicles?
You know where
Crashing the boys in the street challenge?
We're still working on it, but the chopper pilot they had fly them out of here is back. And
Better
he said
than
once
ever.
Sahelanthropus and the chopper got out to sea, they split up and headed in different directions. The chopper headed straight for Africa. They made it about 50 miles inland before
Then
running
the
out of
chopper
fuel.
pilot swam
The
back.
kids used vines and duct tape to tie the pilot.
Well, it's a
to
good thing they did it
he
now
disappeared.
before Vine gets
He was
shut
almost
down
dead
by
from
Twitter.
dehydration when the medics found him. They left him alive on purpose.
Yeah, they're calling us out.
they're like, that's Solid Snake, and that's the guts to come out here on Monday Night Raw. And then Solid Snake's theme music plays, even though it's not Solid Snake.
And with Hewitt helping out, it won't be long before we know where Eli is.
Wherever he is, it's not game over.
There's just one thing that bothers me.
What's that?
Apparently, there are already men going around the nearby villages asking for witnesses of the giant in the
Going
sky.
up to the giant in the sky.
It's clearly business as usual for Cypher.
That's right, defeating the major villain of the game has done
They must have been
nothing.
dying to get Sahelanthropus back ever since Afghanistan. And if they beat us to it, they'll be getting more than that. Eli's carrying the English strain of the vocal cord parasite.
Intel team trucks on Eli based on leads from helicopter pilot.
We've tracked down
Hey,
Eli
this
and
must be
his
the
men.
ancestor of the helicopter
They've
pilot
spread
from
the parasite
Snake's
across the
Revenge.
island.
Yeah,
It won't
Jennifer.
affect you if your voice hasn't broken, so they're safe for now.
Wait, what?
Eli's
So
driven
because
all
they're
the adults off the
prepubescent?
island.
Yes.
Recess is
I think they
officially in
established
session.
that at one of the
Its
many,
own
many
version of
cassette
Lord of the
tapes.
Flies, only instead of a pig's head, Sahelanthropus. And it's swarming with something worse than flies. They presented one demand in exchange for the nuke. Big boss's
Oh, not
body.
this
Big
again.
bodies.
Those kids have
I
got
mean,
a lot
not
to
this
learn.
before it happened the first time.
Boss. The objective is to recover Sahelanthropus and the children.
I'm
Eli
gonna put in
included.
work.
Once you're in the air, we'll hit the island with napalm. Can't let those things spread. It gets worse. Here's the tape from when Eli took off.
I told you, your father's not here.
His voice is starting to change, meaning he's almost a man.
But
So if he's
does he
carrying
kill?
English
It's not a man
language
until he
stripes,
kills.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. It's kind of like
Start showing
quasi
symptoms, it's over.
Metal Gear Solid 1 artwork there with the
It's like
the bosses
quasi,
lined up.
Yeah, Fox unit.
Yeah.
Snake carefully avoids traps. Oh, this becomes deception.
Zero, yeah.
Yeah. Nice backup models. Effects in the following cutscene represent incomplete asses.
Because it would have taken about 700 years for Kojima to finish, apparently. Oh man, look at how incomplete he is.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have his girlfriend yet in Jerry Maguire.
You had me at Snake!
Oh, were they really self-conscious about how those logs looked or something?
Look at how clean Sahelanthropus looks. There's no like small soldiers. That's the problem. They don't have like little individual dust mites that have collected on it. I mean, yeah. I mean, just looking at it, you can tell it's not the same level of detail as other stuff in the game. I'm not
It
not
looks
arguing.
nice.
Huh?
It looks nice.
Looks alright.
Oh my god, those guys are shiny ghosty. They haven't been properly cell shaded.
I think they just look like that anyway.
You
So-
know what, Snake? Why don't you let Zoff take care of this part? Then you just go get it from Zoff. That seems like the simpler thing.
Let the evil organization have their nuclear walking battle tank back, and then
Well-
get it.
Well, I mean, then get it from them.
But I think what we might be missing here is that it's not. It seems like there was at least a couple of plot missions that would have been a huge pain in the ass because more of those child soldiers that you can't kill or you get game over.
Yes.
And
well,
they
no,
will kill
because
you.
never be game over.
Well, I mean, unless you kill child soldiers.
No, alright.
So like Eli would never kill child soldiers, except for the fact that the plot tells us he set up the deaths of some of his own men because he's a dick. Oh no, he threw that. I guess no, he did get one of the child soldiers killed, didn't he? They had that whole thing where he threw their like little
The little toy?
icon into the.
Was that... Yeah, I guess the question is, was that him? Was that little baby
now
mantis?
one of the Zoff soldiers is like having a crisis of conscience because he's like, am I gonna really kill this little kid? Well, apparently he was willing to do it. Thank God for the hero of heroes, young Psycho Mantis.
He's playing it safe. Somehow, despite taking a bullet for... Rocket light.
So it is kind of neat. If I'm following correctly, they're saying that the Liquid Snake has built a kingdom of the flies that is protected by adults because any adult who walks there will be infected with the parasite and die.
Parasites, yeah.
So we got a bunch of guys wearing gas masks. Why is Solid Snake? Or he is wearing a gas mask.
It's also, if it survived, if it went long enough, it would turn into like a little lamplight situation where, like, as soon as people reached age, they
they
would.
die.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not just any little kid. That actually is Liquid.
Except there's no big town. Yeah, I'm going big town.
Big Town's Shadow Moses Island. So somehow, not only does Liquid get out of this alive, but he fights for the British Special Forces in the Middle East after this.
Sounds about right. They tend not to ask for people's, like, I don't know, backgrounds or personal documentation or anything.
Alright, we need you to fight in a bunch of illegal, unacknowledged combat operations around the world. What's your curriculum vitae?
Probably want to know something about the people that they're sending off to go do shady things.
Alright, on a scale of 1 to 10, how often for you is it game over?
There is only one correct answer in that situation.
That kid's good, I'm so proud. Which really begs the question, does Venom Snake know he's not Big Boss? I'm so proud of what this guy is a genetic clone of the guy that I'm copying, but I'm not genetically copying it.
That's right, because Punished Venom Snake is
I
the
would
one
have
with the
really
rock
enjoyed
infection.
playing through this. That's all I'm saying.
Well, sure. Don't worry, Metal Gear Survive will come along and we'll be able to use Undead Archaea.
I'm gonna fucking play that, though. I will. I mean, I don't even care.
Well, I mean, yeah, you bought WWE 2K17.
Not a kid anymore. You can call your own shots.
Including summoning me.
But at this rate, you'll be dead before you have a chance.
Let's go, Schultz. Shut up.
I'm free to die however I wish. Yes.
Free to be you and me. It's okay for boys to play with dolls. And
Are you gonna fight the whole world?
and what's wrong with that? Fighting the whole world.
You don't get the last word.
Oh, it wasn't your
Father.
father.
I'll break the curse of my heritage. And to do that, first, I will kill you.
And I forgot, I'm supposed to still talk like some kind of Sam Elliott. Zeus.
Okay, so that's a nice boss battle.
Gonna use a little bit of Ken Burns effect here to bring all of this concept art to life.
Shelby Foot comes out and tries to convince Eli that it doesn't have to be this way.
Shelby Foot comes out and convinces us all that he's not actually a Russian spy.
I'm pretty sure he's not a Russian spy, actually, Shelby Foot.
Thanks to Snake's efforts in battle, Eli is defeated.
And the Sherman necktie is placed on the train tracks. Or made of the train tracks. Then Sam Elliott appears.
To tell you about Lisa Mattress.
I also like that the guy who makes the undergarments that are bacterial resistant just is Sam Elliott, but he uses the guy's actual name. Anyway, sorry. Back to this. Oh, look at how unfinished that is.
It looks like a PlayStation 2 piece of art, actually.
Garbage.
It's kind of nice, though.
I know, I
the
like
way
it.
that
It's like
the,
retro.
Old style
I'm
of
digging it.
retro. Jeez,
Oh.
can you imagine seeing anything like this on,
I mean, retro for PS4.
yeah.
It reminds me in a weird way of Peace Walker, where they like were trying to mix comic book visuals in with.
Yeah, well, I guess
A little bit.
you'll get that when you cut in the comic art and everything. Well, I mean, the drawn art.
Why are these guys here all of a sudden? I thought we
Zoff?
defeated. Are they? Oh, they. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think these guys are XOF, aren't they?
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Big Boss's warriors, the Outer Heaven guys, were fighting him a minute ago. So I like this now. You're trying to save Eli because. Not exactly a nice character, but Eli. I mean, you're seeing here as close as we ever get to an explanation for why Liquid's so fucking broken. Is that he felt like he never actually had control over his own destiny. Now, why finding out you were copied by somebody, you're like gonna spend your whole life seeing this whack do
Well, I don't
last
know.
triggers a seizure. Oh, and he flashes back to that nonsense.
Broken Liquid Snake, obsessed with defeating his brother Nero. Solid. Sporadically unable
Oh.
to differentiate between red and white.
How are you gonna get that across,
okay.
though? I mean, they're narrating it to us now. In game, would this have been?
Oh,
also
because you
confusing?
see his bright red arm and it is white.
Yeah, it's the kind of shit I need to unpack later. I'm not that observant.
Flare has limited control. But you have to just make sure to not shoot the really tiny XOF
The
number.
end of Red Dead Redemption. Oh, that's right, and that's why Liquid Snake's dead and Metal Gear Solid never happens.
No, no, no. And he had the conch, so you're supposed to be listening to him right now.
Conch, chonk, Egyptian. No.
Give him a second. Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
The end. Oh no, it's a Zoff helicopter. They spontaneously replaced Big Boss's guides again. I'm here to tell you about Lisa Mattress.
If you want a really comfortable pair of men's jeans,
You want Ocelot eyewear. We're gonna take Liquid Snake's body out of here in a box the size of a mini fridge, which would of course be too small to contain a mini fridge.
Give me some room.
Good, you captured him up. Oh, you didn't. Ugh, that's not good, Snake.
I am Longshot.
You die like a wolf, proud animal.
He'll be all right. The vest took the bullet. Get him on the chopper. We'll patch him up at base.
Didn't we already know that he has vocal cord parasites for the English language strain?
Boss, he's showing symptoms. Huh? What?
I was created by Cypher,
Yeah, I guess he was, technically.
and I was the flaw.
There's more than one flaw in that whole
Fate
thing.
was written in my genes.
Mr. Sumayi, the catapults are ready, sir.
My flawed recessive genes.
You.
Yeah.
All because of you.
Well, I'm not actually Big Boss, but I don't think that would have been revealed until after this had the game been completed.
Oh, also, you're not a copy of me, you're a copy of Mel.
I will surpass my father. Destroy
Yeah,
my
good luck with that, kid.
destroy you.
Well, I've already got a head start.
I'll kill all of Cypher. I'll destroy your precious world.
Oh, he's funnier than Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, his puppets are really doing all the work in that act.
How's it going over there?
There's nothing you can do for him now.
Maybe get him a better
Island's
game.
completely contaminated. Orders are to use napalm to
Orders from who? He's Big Boss!
Every square inch.
Even the dirtiest square inch on the island, sir?
That's a dirty square inch.
Even a square inch under your seat?
That's right, put everyone in the code red armbar.
Tie everyone up and then hit them with soap that you've put in a sock.
Live from New York.
Why are you...
Oh, am I reading that line right?
You're one hell of a soldier.
I will kill you!
Sorry. Your other brother's gonna kill me. But we don't know that I'm that guy and that that's different from the guy at the end of Metal Gear 2 yet.
Don't blame yourself.
Blame
Blame
or
me.
God. Damn, I almost screwed that up. That would have been so perfect I hadn't fucked that up. Don't blame yourself, blame me or God. Final Fantasy Tactics, it's a thing. You know.
You can do that one of these days, why don't you?
That's been on my to-do list. And you can name your characters, and the main character is blonde, so he could be Eli.
Yeah. Or he could be a donator.
You're pimping out my Let's Plays for charity.
That's right.
What a whore. Canadian MS, I'm your pimp.
Oh. That's like psychically controlling that without even... Oh, okay, they're airlifting Sahelanthropus out of here. Don't you want to let Napalm sanitize Sahelanthropus too?
Is this gonna end
Wait,
with
how many Sahelanthropuses are there?
Is this gonna... No, that's a good point. Is this
There
gonna...
are two Sahelanthropuses back there.
Is this gonna end with Eli? No, put it in your mouth. That would be more of a callback. That's actually a call forward.
No, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
Well, no, he's not gonna do it. He has to be in the Metal Gear Solid, but...
Ooh, you know what would be even better? Oh, if he did do it, but something psychically stopped the hammer whatever.
Well, be patient. Miraculous, inexplicable nonsense is still coming.
That's some magical thinking right there.
He just pulled being parasites out of his mouth with
Those
psychic
parasites were fucking huge.
Whatever, monster parasites.
Hold my hand. You might want to
Now,
accelerate your rate of climb there.
I know it's retconning, but the fact that there appears to be no personal relationship whatsoever between Liquid Snake and Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid is a bit odd, now that we know they've known each other since childhood, and Liquid Snake literally owes Psycho Mantis his life.
Yeah.
That's right, he's a bloody demon guy, he's Satan, we know that. That part I was tracking with game, thank you. Oh, I wouldn't have thought we'd see him again.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he died in the napalm.
No, I mean him flying away with
Yeah.
Psycho Mantis seemed like it would be our farewell to Liquid for purposes of this. I guess later Psycho Mantis starts gaining the ability to like speak like a normal person.
He just doesn't feel like it. He's a shy guy. I mean, right down to the mask.
Not yet. It's not over yet.
200 years ago on this side, in Federal Hall. Whatever.
That's
I don't
the
even
room
remember
where it
which
happened, right?
which date it was. That was the first whatever historical date from the late 1800s it was.
Yeah, Patriots Day.
Yeah.
The day that, 2 centuries into the future from that point, well, 2 centuries plus in the future at that point, former U.S. president, what was his actual name? Like, Summers or
Gordon Shumway?
Anderson? I forget.
Kenneth Anderson was a DARPA chief.
Right.
Well, there you go. That was something.
That was the thing.
That was the thing. So, I mean, yeah, and I feel like maybe in retrospect we should have started the video after getting past the copyright warnings, but I feel like watching that's fair. Going through the interviews and stuff might be playing a little risky as far as what's appropriate to show on our LP, where we generally aren't like just flat out giving the middle finger to the copyright content owners. So, yeah, there you go. That was interesting. Now, I'm assuming if that had been finished, there would have been a whole lot of... There would have... not trying to be smart alecky or nasty, but there would have been some filler missions to pad that out to being something approaching the length of the other acts, since that was like Act 3.
I feel like it might have been a shortened final act.
Where
like it was, it's a more limited play area than the other ones, but it's still open.
Yeah,
There probably would have been some missions of like,
that's true. 'Cause it was set on
in order to reach where Sahelanthropus is, you're going to need to take out these comm relays that the child soldiers have situated across the island.
Something like that. Yeah, no, I can see that. But no, you're right, because it is a whole new area, so it would have been introducing a whole new map zone, zone styles.
Y'all got map zone?
No one understands what that reference is.
No.
But yeah, no, I thought that was I mean, it would have been a more satisfying ending to the story, especially considering that they teased us with this character Eli being important in the pre-launch material. And like everybody had figured out based on the time that the game was set, the age of the kid, the blonde hair, everyone knew that it was going to be Liquid Snake as a child.
Yeah.
So having Liquid Snake play such a small role in the finished game did feel like a bit of a cheat.
Well, and I know it's something that you had mentioned to, like, basically, I mean, it's likely something we may never see at this point, unless we think that Konami is just going to go ahead and pick up and take the series on and continue to add, like, sort of story-relevant chapters to it, as opposed to, like, weird-ass sort of offshoot things like zombie survival horror. But you...
Which I'm going to play. I mean, I swear I'll play it. I'll be curious. It'll be like a...
Yeah, but
it'll be a curiosity thing. I played Revengeance, too. He had nothing to do with Revengeance.
Yeah, but I know that you were curious and sort of vaguely interested in the idea of, like, it would be really interesting to play a game that revealed a little bit more of the background of Liquid Snake via just playing as Liquid Snake before he's built like an empire of destruction or whatever.
Well,
of course,
yeah,
this makes it more difficult to figure that out because
No,
it seems
this-
as though
this-
from like his
this
very,
wrecks it. I mean,
very
'cause
young age.
I'd thrown that out there years ago. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if you played a game where you, and if there was any way they could have done it, and it would have been extremely difficult to try to pull the trick that it didn't really work for a lot of people in Metal Gear Solid 3 either. But you're playing as Big Boss, and the game doesn't really flat out tell you that until the end. And if they could have done a game where you don't know for 100% positive who the protagonist is, and eventually you figure it out, but you actually are playing as Liquid Snake doing something, for the British Secret Service, Special Services, whatever. I don't remember the actual name. I thought that would have been cool, but yes, now that we know that, like, from childhood, he was an insane freak intent on building up an army to destroy all social order, it's like, it's hard for there to be a cool plot which, like,
It
similar
does
to Metal
yeah.
Gear Solid 3, shows something happening. Or like, yeah, I can see how somebody could come out of this not really all that gung-ho about the American military anymore.
It does explain his overall insanity and freakishness later on down the line. So they accomplished that. Job done in terms of like, oh, now I see why.
Liquid Snake is actually more reasonable and rational in Metal Gear Solid than he is in any of the other games where he appears.
Yeah.
Like, by 4, it's like,
I mean, aside from like, well, the thing is like, it in the original Metal Gear Solid, because of course before that, it was like Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, like basically the only big like dun 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 shocking drop deads are like, okay, one, basic reversal, the guy that you thought was like the first one, basic reversal, the guy you thought was your commander is actually your enemy. Like later reversals, like, oh, we thought this guy was dead, he's actually here to fight us again. Third game, evil, we have a literal evil twin.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like frickin' Suvok, the evil brother of Spock territory. It's kind of,
well, the
surface
Suvok
like,
was his adoptive brother.
Yeah, why?
That they captured the Enterprise and tried to go to the center of the universe and fight God.
Because he had the power to make everybody forgive themselves for their past sins and bliss them out. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Let's not get into that. But no, I mean, Liquid Snake was like one of the best executed examples of a concept which on the surface was just painfully stupid. They executed it really well, but it was also really dumb. Oh, he's your evil twin.
Yeah.
And they explained why he's your evil twin in a way which was also bafflingly stupid, which is Big Boss claims to be your father, and you're just like, whatever, you're trying to like psych me out at a strange, or you're speaking like metaphorically, and there's like, no, actually he is your father, but you're a clone, and this guy's the evil. Like, it's all really dumb, except that they executed it well.
Yeah.
And then in later games, it starts to be, even when it's well executed, it just gets dumber.
Yeah.
I think the whole series kind of goes off the rail the first time we're asked to believe that Liquid Snake has possessed a revolver ocelot through his arm. And then later, when they retcon their way out of that, it's like, okay, but Ocelot intentionally wanted to become Liquid Snake to carry out a plan in which he would ultimately be killed, but it was necessary for the blah blah blah. Like, yeah, it just gets worse and worse. And when you go back to the point where they never should have tried to retcon their way out of the part where the zombie arm possessed the guy, because that made more sense than it had fallen off a bit. But
so, well, I mean, I guess this is. At this point, we're pretty much just saying this is it. We're calling Time on 5 entirely as an entity, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, we're done. I mean, at this point, we're just kind of
final impressions of...
Well, one thing I was going to throw out there is, like, we're talking about this game wasn't finished. It's just such a shame that we didn't get this third act, or the Phantom Act, or whatever it's called. It's like, what a rip, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I have to think back and like, all right, so I bought the collector's edition, which meant that, again, I paid for, like, the rush shipping. I felt like I could afford it because I really wanted this game. So I dropped between the collector's edition, which comes with all the extra stuff, including this disc, and the rush shipping and blah, blah, blah. I spent, like, I think about $100, which is way more than you normally spend on just going into GameStop and picking up a game.
Yeah.
But if I'd picked up the regular game, what is a new first-run game cost, like $60 nowadays?
Yeah, they're about 60, 70, depending.
How many hours did we get out of this?
Well, that's the thing. I think even with...
Like, what was our per-minute cost to play Metal Gear Solid 5 when we didn't even attempt to capture all the animals? Like, we did a little bit of try to do the side objectives and whatnot, but, like, as far as 100%ing the game,
yeah,
we didn't make a real stab at that. We just kind of played through, and...
That's what I was just thinking about on reflection. Like, I think just the basis of the way that the game operates, like it's all story driven and sort of like linear, even if you can go back and forth from one area to another in the previous games. But like this one, it seemed like the replay value would be exponentially greater just because you have the ability to just drop down in a random place, just to go take out some dudes, collect resources, sneak around in a base or prisoner.
Depending on what you mean by replay value, I could strongly disagree. I don't see any reason to start up a new game. But as far as like continuing to play the game,
I guess
outside
that's
of the
like
story,
game plus value, however you want. I guess I meant replay value
free roam mode,
of having a desire to play the game after you've played through it once.
So if
like
it's
there's so many games out there that like,
it's like Grand Theft Auto 3. All right, well I took out Catalina and avenged her betrayal at the very beginning of the game, and now I feel like having one of every car stocked in my garages throughout Liberty City and buying all the optional property, like that kind of thing.
I just feel like firing up the game, getting a 5-star wanted rating, and like taking out as many military
This game. Well, I mean, it's their first effort to really do an open world type of thing, and I think you can see where it does and doesn't work. Like in Metal Gear, like it after a while, like you would go out and just play the game and it would be fun, and it would also get redundant, like any of these open world games can get. Like far more different types of things to do in, say, a Grand Theft Auto game than in Metal Gear, because in Metal Gear you're like, oh, you can drive vehicles for the first time, that's kind of neat, but at the same time you're like, no matter how far I wander in this jungle environment, I'm never going to encounter NPCs who are anything other than guards that have to be snuck up on and taken out without being noticed first. So it's like, it's kind of like, they did extremely well, but you can see how maybe this game didn't lend itself quite as much towards open world. One thing I heard a lot of people say about the game is that the side ops missions are really not that interesting, but going back and playing the main story missions multiple times and taking different tracks can be very interesting. And I think that's probably true, because like you remember, you could go through the Afghan airfield and neutralize several times more guards than you'd normally get in a tiny outpost, but nowhere near as many guards as you get in a plot mission where the thing is swimming with people, including walker deers and stuff. It's kind of like, the free range is fun as a way to gather resources, but the meat and potatoes is still the story mission, and this had the weakest story of any Metal Gear game by a fair sight. You wonder if the cassette tapes used to reveal story was... It seems like it was designed that way from the beginning, but at the same time, like, there was just so few cinema scenes where anything happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I think it was, if
Big
they were
Boss
going
was
to integrate...
so freaking mute.
Well, if they were going to integrate any more cutscenes, they would have had to have danced their way around that problem even more. Yeah. And I mean, at the point where he is now, I mean, Big Boss at times feels like a 16-bit RPG protagonist, where he literally doesn't speak so that you could project your own identity onto him, because he's a totally blank slate, which is not what they were going for here.
I don't think so. So you've basically got Master Miller, Ocelot, Marl and Lara and Chrono, going around. Okay, I blanked on the name of the actual characters from Chrono Trigger, but that's definitely a thing that drags down its ability to be a really engaging story. But I guess we already did a long farewell to Metal Gear 5 in the last video. So I mean, to get back to the content that didn't make it, it seems like that would have been a cooler way to end the story than
Do you think if it had a third act that featured those kinds of cinemas, both in terms of additional content within the game and just in terms of maybe having a more satisfying story, do you think he would have been I feel like at this point, you don't regret the time that you've spent with this game, but at the same time maybe you regret that the game turned out kind of the way it did. Do you think you'd feel the same way if
well, let's put it this way. I guess, I mean, if we want to just really labor this out, I guess we could call it a video and have a whole video of just talking Metal Gears, but we could do a Metal Gear podcast or something. But for me, like, okay, so the very first game for the NES, forget about the MCX for me, the NES, like, yeah, I remember that from childhood, so I got a lot of nostalgia. A lot of other people have nostalgia around Metal Gear Solid, which also was a pretty big deal for me. Actual best in show, as far as like top to bottom standalone game, really, really impressive to me is Metal Gear Solid 3. But everything he's done since that time he's been trying to sort of wrap it up. Like Metal Gear Solid 4, he swore that was going to be the end.
Yeah.
The plot screams trying to drag in every loose end and tie it off into some kind of ending to the story, because as much fun as the gameplay was, that one was like 90% story, 10% gameplay.
Yeah.
This one, it's like he didn't feel quite satisfied with that, or he was stung by the criticism, so that's what it was. So I get the impression he was trying to just like build the ultimate everything game, and that he got the gameplay parts out and he didn't get to finish the story. But if he'd had a bunch of like story scenes, like, you know, Ocelot and Miller stopped being so flat, and Big Boss didn't just fade into the background, and the relationships between the characters got explored and all that, like, it's so hypothetical for us to talk about it now that you're not even talking about what would that game have been. You're talking about, well, what would my dream Metal Gear game to tie off the series have been? And it's like, after a point, it's like, you know, okay, well, what do you want the next Star Wars movie to be? And it's like, no, you just have to accept that there were games you played at a certain stage in your life that you'll always really enjoy them as, like, you know, cultural pieces that are standalone, and that there was nothing that was going to like, I don't know what Metal Gear Solid 5 could have been to completely satisfy me. I know that what I got wasn't everything I was hoping it would be, but from a gameplay perspective, like, from the fear that it was going to be Metal Gear Solid 4 all over again, but darker because it's about Big Boss going bad, and that it was going to be all story and no gameplay, well, yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, we sort of flipped that.
But no, it's hard to think how one game was going to really carry us from, you know, like a total, like, the hero becomes the villain, and it's like this epic Shakespearean, like, it's kind of hard to picture video games doing that, because as much as I love video games and think their ability to touch us is appreciated by some people, they're still video games.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to have this, like, okay, Shakespeare would have a hard time pulling this off, and we're asking Kojima to do it, and also to give us really cool gameplay.
Well, now I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, there are video game series that have been longer than the Metal Gear 1, or have spanned as many years, or have had as many chapters.
I'm still thinking that at some point we need to play Super Mario Brothers U, because I understand that's what really bridges the gap in Mario's character.
I believe you have humorously gotten around to the point that I was just thinking. I was like, I'm not sure there's another one that has a, like, single coherent plot line through them. It's like, there have been more Final Fantasy games, but all of them, with the exception of, like, two,
well, they've recently started doing
take place in the same, like, multiverse, basically.
Well, Final Fantasy X has a immediate follow-on. Final Fantasy 13 has immediate follow-ons, but no, they generally don't work that way.
Yeah, and the Castlevania games, like, your protagonist is sometimes the, like, great-great-grandson of a protagonist from a previous game, or something like that. And the Mario games, obviously, it's just, oh, these wacky, goofy characters are doing the exact same sort of thing.
So you can't really compare the Metal Gear series to other video game series so much as you could compare them to a comic book series. And as someone who doesn't read a lot of comic books, every so often I'll get curious about a character that I saw introduced on, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'll open up their Wikipedia page, and I'll be, like, halfway through the first paragraph before I stop, because I'm like, no, like, comic book logic, you just have complete 180s in characters all the time just to keep things interesting. And it's like an accepted convention that you can reset at any point and, like, have alternates, like, oh, this was, like, alternate dimension version, so now we're going to tell a story where the same character is, like, you know, totally different. And
yeah, it's like, this time, Bruce Banner and, I don't know, Hawkeye, they run a pizza restaurant together.
I just off the top of my head, without knowing anything about the franchises, really, there's a series called Planet Hulk, where the Hulk is, like, the dictator ruler of another planet and is invading Earth. So that's kind of different from the other Hulk. And somebody out there is listening is familiar with both and is like, JG totally got that wrong. And you know, that's what I'm getting at, is that
the only way
you'd have to really get buried into the details, and you'd have to accept the crazy conventions, and, like, no, it's a miracle that Metal Gear is coherent as it is, and its coherence drops off more and more every time,
Yeah.
and you just have to be like, yeah, you're gonna get that.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the issue with Planet Hulk and the reason that that was able to come to pass was through the financial backing of Peter Thiel.
And of course, the financial backing of Ken Masters and
Robert Garcia. Yeah,
collectively.
Masters Garcia Alliance.
The Alliance to end Hulk Planet Mania. I didn't even go with Hulkamania. Hulkamania was right there. And I changed it to Hulk Planet Mania. Anyway, I think we've gotten a little off topic, but yeah, I think this was like, as far as like gameplay quality and all the different things you could do, easily the best game in the series. Very disappointed by Skullface as a villain because the little glimpses we got of him in Ground Zeroes made it look like he was going to be a really fucking cool villain.
Yeah.
Comic book appearance aside, it's like soft-spoken, intelligent, but utterly evil, and then in this game it's like he barely shows up.
Yep.
When he does, it just leads into an 8-hour-long cassette tape narrated by Navajo dude about Archaea, and I just, oh god, I could talk about Code Talker all day, but that would be so Code Talker of me.
Also, my God,
Crushingly dull. I'm sorry, nothing against the Navajos of the real world, but what a boring character.
what is even the name of the fire guy that is
The Man on Fire.
The Man on He's literally the Man on Fire.
He's
I wonder
Colonel
if-
Volgan.
yeah,
who I really liked because it was like the first time in a game that broke the rules by giving us nuanced villains. That time they were like, you know what? This time we're just straight up giving
Just
you an
one-dimensional.
asshole.
He's a
because in
sadistic
our
ass.
series, that's breaking the rules. Having the villain just be an asshole with no motivation other than what a fucking asshole this guy is.
I wonder if the original plan was for the Man on Fire to die like a total punk, the way that he did.
Well, okay, now in fairness, he was already dead.
Yes, all right.
But yeah, lack of. Oh, and you know that's another thing. Even Metal Gear Solid 4, the one with like 3 hours of cinematic for every 20 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
Even that gave us a multiple interesting boss fights, which is kind of what Metal Gear had been known for. And this game just didn't do it.
It was pretty much mostly boss fights in Metal Gear Solid 4. Like
Yeah,
you spent-
the linking bits between boss fights are actually pretty blah, and then the boss fights were kind of the whole deal. But this game just, I guess Quiet was a boss fight, but then she gets recycled as, like, you know, weird genome Quiets later on.
Yeah.
Then you got a couple of fights
you fight
with
those genome,
those dudes that like have
the
rock skin,
the
I guess.
skulls.
Yeah, you never fight a. Do you fight a helicopter or airplane? I don't remember. That's a pretty big deal to not fight any flying guys that you have to kill with stingers. But no, not a great game for boss battles.
Right. Yeah, well.
But it did feature a line that we've used quite a bit in our offline lives. Good. Capture the life.
That's right. And if it gave us nothing else, it gave us that. And it gave us more than that.
It did, yeah. I don't feel like I got ripped off monetary-wise, which is always good, because when I go home tonight, I'm going to play WWE 2K17, where that's a very real possibility.
Right. But you got Goldberg, man.
I got Goldberg, man. Goldberg, man, being one of the most powerful robot masters.
I tell you what, you should go into the character edit modes when you can and give Chris Jericho the Bill Goldberg entrance. And see if there's a way to edit it so that he gets lost on his way to the arena.
There's a way to edit it so his security cards are the Jerkaholic Ninja and Ralphus.
That's right. And on that note, well, I mean, I guess.
I can wrap it up any old time, yeah. No, so we talked a lot. I might have to have the video description is probably going to be like, bonus disc plus 4-hour podcast. But I am the Serious JG.
I'm Bobo the Vulture.
I want to thank you guys very much. Well, you know what? This actually took me a little bit less time than it took to clear Heatman stage. So
there you go.
So we hope you enjoyed this video. It wasn't as long as fighting Heatman, but it was something. And we hope you enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 5. keep an eye out on. I guess I shouldn't say it till we know what's going to happen, but we have a feeling there's going to be another Metal Gear game of some kind coming on Bobo's channel next, possibly, maybe on my channel.
I mean,
You
but
never know.
there's definitely still more Metal Gear games in the Metal Geariverse, but there's like one major story chapter, I think.
Well,
that's
there's
still-
one canonical game which is like semi-canonical we haven't played yet, but that's not even the one we're thinking of. There's a, I guess, non-canon game.
like a spin-off. It's like the Frasier of Metal Gear.
Yes, it is. So tune in next time as Solid
As we
Snake
attempt
tries to sit. Solid Snake tries to shoo a stinky dog off of his dad's favorite chair in the next chapter. But I'm Mysterious JG.
I'm Bobo the Vulture.
I want to thank you guys for watching, and hope you'll join us next time for more of something on some channel somewhere.
Bye.